My dad bought this piece beside us in the 70s. He bought this 500-acre farm, and we always had cattle growing up, and you know, it was always a dream to be able to grow up and farm as well. And thankfully I met somebody that shared that dream.
When we got married, I think he had like 2 or 3 more head of cattle than I did, so we were both very heavily involved. Growing up, I was very heavily involved with 4-H and FFA. He was a little bit in FFA, so that meshed really, really well. When he came home in November of '09, we'd been married a little over a year. Our oldest son was about 3 months old, and the job that he was working, through the winter months, he would typically be laid off, so that's when we relied heavily on selling the freezer beeves. And he said, today was my last run. In the spring, I'm not going back. We're going to rely on the farm. So that took me back a bit because I knew that was going to happen, but I didn't expect it to be that soon.
We knew he was wanting to be relying on agriculture, you know, for our sole income. But as markets change, weather changes, trends change, you have to recognize opportunities and be able to seize them if they work out. I mean, necessity is a mother of invention, so you know, you can't hardly make a full-time living if you just got 20 or 30 cows and sell those calves once a year. So we had to plug in different things to get through the year. So freezer beeves was one option, and we liked the background calves, but when the market really fell, we had to get creative. I told her, I said, we either got to do something different or get a job. So I went to auctioneer school. We now do equipment auction once a year. We sell hay to feed stores and some other folks. And the store kind of come from those freezer beeves. We had some empty nesters that still liked our product, but they couldn't handle a half a beef anymore. So they was on us for a few years about doing that. So that opened the store up, and we kept just plugging the pieces in, and here we are.
When we started doing the retail, I would take coolers and my car and load up and go to the farmer's market, and that began to really grow. And I would meet people in town and do deliveries and pickups, and it got to the point where I was delivering 4 and 5 days a week in order to keep up with everything. So that was when we finally sat down and made that decision to kind of make a permanent establishment where we could come in and customers had a consistent time and place to come and pick up our product. We have older customers that will come in and say, they can remember growing up on their grandparents butchering, and it's just not the same. And I haven't had steak like this since when my granddad used to butcher when I was a kid. But then we have the next generation coming up that just enjoy getting to talk to the farmer, that experience of I know who raised my food, I know where it came from. I have 12 different vendors that also share space there. We have everything from local honey to wood crafts. I have birdhouses a gentleman makes. He's actually legally blind, and he's able to make those, and we provide him that outlet to be able to sell his product there. Our community and our county as a whole is so creative, and there was a lot of opportunities there for vendors to have that space to be able to market their products.
I consider John and Sara friends, and I think that that's one of the really important things, that when Extension has those community partners, whether they're organizations or individuals, I think when you have that friend relationship, that is a lot more trusting, and Extension is that trusted resource. So I think that building those relationships, that's how we build that trust. I don't really remember when I met John. John was one of those kids that was just kind of around with my nephew when he was younger. And so I just kind of feel like I always knew John. Sara, I can remember coming to judging practice. One thing that Sara and I have in common is a really competitive nature. And so I love the opportunity to coach kids that are really competitive and want to go the extra mile, do that extra studying at home and those kind of things. And so that's what I remember of Sara, that she always wanted to participate in the judging competitions and stockman's contest and those kind of things. She loved to learn and wanted to be able to do well in those competitions. When they told me that they wanted to make their living off of the farm, I was really excited because so often we hear people say, well, there's no money in farming and you can't make money, and here's proof positive that two young people who have decided that that's what they wanted to do have done what they need to do, made the decisions, changed their practices, done modifications to what is traditional West Virginia beef cattle farming. They've done what it takes to show that you can make a living doing those things. And so for young people that are just starting out, I would encourage you to be willing to be risk takers. If you're going to risk, now's the time. You have a lot of years ahead of you to modify and to address and lower some of those risks. But now's the time to take risks when you're younger and you want to get into farming full time. Look for those local opportunities and then go for it.
We have been so blessed, being able to take our boys, and they've, throughout this process, they've been able to see us learn and grow as well. And the confidence that has given them, and we see that insight, coming through them. They're able to look at things and say, hey, Mom, this might work, or this might be a good idea. They're not afraid to think outside the box or to look for opportunities. They have their own cattle now that they're responsible for getting up, they feed and take care of. They backgrounded their first group of calves last year, and they've set the goal that by the time our oldest graduates high school, he wants to sell, the two of them together want to sell a semi-load of feeder calves in the spring. So getting to see them have that excitement, to me, that's so awesome to see them take that initiative and be willing to charge forward with an idea that they have.